It's the last week before Halloween, and I asked you guys what Halloween episodes of your favorite shows you wanted me to talk about. And I said I would talk about the top 2 episodes in this poll. And you guys voted for the Scooby-Doo Halloween episode, and then Only Skin Deep from Tales of the Crypt, which are on opposite sides of the horror spectrum, but I love the diversity. I'm glad my channel isn't just a kids horror channel anymore. People are actually voting for the adult stuff now. If you are new here and don't know what Tales from the Crypt is, Tales from the Crypt is an anthology horror series that was created by William Gaines and Stephen Dodd. It aired on HBO with 7 seasons and 96 episodes in total, and was a very popular show. And because of this, there are 5 movies attached to the show. There was also a cartoon called Tales from the Crypt Keeper, which is an animated version of the show which was intended for younger audiences. And there's also a Saturday morning game show called The Secrets of the Crypt Keeper's Haunted House, which was shocking to learn the first time I heard about it, but after learning that the Crypt Keeper was literally everywhere in the early 90s, I could actually start to believe it, yeah. The Crypt Keeper, voiced by the famous John Kassir, introduces us to each episode with his witty puns and his insane laugh. Each segment is based off of horror comics from the publishing company EC. So that includes the Tales from the Crypt comics, of course, Vault of Horror, The Haunt of Fear, Crime Suspense Stories, Two-Fisted Tales, and Shock Suspense Stories. Because of this, the show has a nice spread of monsters and horror, as well as some mystery and pretty bloody crimes. And because the show was on HBO, it didn't have to be censored like other shows at the time. So it was allowed to show all the glorious gore and nudity that you freaks love to see. And both gore and nudity are in this episode, which will not be fun for me to edit. The YouTube gods tend to disapprove of both of those things. So, the show has had some issues with the rights in the past, so it's incredibly hard to watch nowadays. You pretty much can't find it anywhere unless you buy the whole DVD box set or something like that, or if you find some website, but most of the websites have horrible quality. But even though the show is really hard to find and watch, it still has a very loyal audience that believes it is the best anthology show ever. And I kind of agree with them. It's pretty good. It's pretty good. Today we're taking a look at Only Skin Deep. It is the 2nd episode of the 6th season of the show, and it is known for being one of the better episodes to come out of the season, which is pretty mid at best. Hey, at least it's better than the 7th season. That one's tough to get through, I tell you what. It's a Halloween episode technically, but the only sense of Halloween we get is a costume party at the beginning of the episode, and then after that it's just an insane story. So don't expect to see many jack-o'-lanterns or trick-or-treaters in this video. But you will be seeing a lot of blurring throughout the episode, so be prepared. Also, I know I have some audience members that like to watch my videos with their kids or even grandkids. For those people, I'm just gonna say, maybe skip this video. You won't hurt my feelings if you skip this one. It's a little much. It's a bit much. I just posted a Scooby-Doo video last week. Go check out that one if you haven't yet. That's definitely up their alley, I promise. So, of course, like every episode in this series, this one is loosely based on a comic story. It's based after the story with the same name from the 38th issue of the Tales from the Crypt comic book. I'll also quickly summarize that story after I talk about the episode. So stick around for that because they are way different, but both equally insane. But that's enough yapping, let's get into the episode. We start this episode with our favorite little cave dweller, the Crypt Keeper, playing a unique game of poker with some friends, or former friends. He even invites us to play.
My deal. Hacks and chokers are wild. Are you in?
Nah, thanks man, I gotta record a YouTube video. I also don't know how to play poker, but thank you though. He introduces us to the segment by giving us a little hint about the games our main character plays in this episode.
His game is relationships. It's a ghoulish little gamble I call Only Skin Deep.
Whoa, that's a scandalous cover. I didn't know I have to start blurring stuff this early in the video. We fade into the comic and to a really awesome looking Halloween party with a banger playing in the background. God, it's such a good song. If you're interested in listening to it, it's Changes by Big Elf, so give it a listen, I like it. We listen to this bop as the camera swings around multiple people until we catch our first glimpse at our main character, Carl Schlag. And he's dressed as a masked pirate? What is he gonna bury some treasure and then go to the opera? You could have at least put on a cool hat, man. Normally when people come to a Halloween party with a mask on like that, they want to hide their identity for at least a little while. But Carl here yanks the mask off almost immediately, which sounds dumb, but what's even more dumb is he's not supposed to be at the party. He instantly gets noticed by Abraham Lincoln here, who asks him,
"What the hell are you doing here?"
Which basically means, hey, Get out of here, you weren't invited. Carl complains to Honest Abe about not getting an invitation or a warm welcome, but it turns out that Carl and Abe's wife have history, and she's going to be very upset if she sees him there. Using context clues, we learn that Carl is dating this girl here named Linda, but there was something pretty serious that happened which caused them to split, and his friend Bob and his wife were trying to keep them separated from each other because of it. Bob calmly asks Carl to leave, but Carl is being a big baby and is refusing to go. By the way, Bob is the one dressed as Abe Lincoln. Just so you know. I don't think I made that clear. Bob doesn't want to have to forcefully remove Carl from the party. Bob's also a little bit of a pushover, if you ask me. But on top of that, Carl uses what little charm he has and says that he just wants to have one little drink and then he'll leave the party. But something tells me and Bob that he won't leave after just one drink.
It'll be okay. Look. No one will even know I'm here.
Yeah, that might have worked sooner if you kept the mask on, man. That's the whole point of the mask.
No one seems to grasp the concept of the mask.
After Carl gets himself a drink, it doesn't take long for his ex Linda to recognize him.
Either you're the ballsiest guy on the planet or the stupidest.
But he has his mask on! How could you even tell? Here we learn a bit more information about their super toxic relationship. First of all, Carl keeps showing up at parties and events that Linda is at despite them being separated. And it's now getting to a point where it's a little creepy. So much so that she threatens to get a restraining order against him. Then she just downright calls him abusive, saying that he forced her to stay in the relationship and also beat her into submission whenever she fought back. And something tells me she's not lying.
You think it's easy as that? You want out and it's over?
Yeah, that's usually how it goes, man. Yeah. Then our boy Carl here decides it's a good idea to threaten to kill her.
No, silly me. Thinking I gave you what you deserved. If I'd done that, I'd have killed you.
Man, you're really not helping your case. Luckily, Bob overhears the argument and once again tries to kick him out, but he's too much of a coward to actually try and forcefully remove him. So Carl takes it into his own hands and removes himself from the rest of the party into the kitchen. Whoa, calm down, man. What'd the pumpkin do to you? You don't want my boy Sam to see you doing that. In his fit of rage, Carl didn't notice this girl sitting next to him in the sink with a creepy looking mask on and black leather just covering her body. What the hell is she supposed to be?
I'm a body bag.
Oh. Yeah, I can see it. Miss Bodybag here knows a lot about Carl somehow, despite they have never met. He stutters his way through his side of his story or trying to explain himself, but ultimately he just calls Linda a liar and then says,
Certain wrongs deserve certain justifiable actions.
well, yeah, that's understandable if you're a serial killer and then you get life in prison. Not when your girlfriend accidentally burns dinner and then you give her a nice right hook hoping she learns her lesson. Despite this problematic worldview, Miss Bodybag says that she doesn't disagree with him, and they become pretty fast friends. They quickly bond over neither of them having a good time at this party, and she was just about to head home in fear of being hit on again, but she does invite Carl to tag along if he also wants to escape. So of course, he does. But first he asks for Mrs. Dollface's name, but she doesn't give him a straight answer. She just lets him give her a name and he chooses the name Molly. So she'll be known as Molly for the rest of the video. They make it back to her pitch black apartment that might have a couple of roaches here and there. Good lord, this place is filthy. Never mind, there is definitely roaches in here somewhere. Molly lets Carl go to town on her alcohol stash while she rips off her body bag costume. Jesus, you don't have any clothes on under there? Are you trying to make my job harder? To keep this video from being age restricted, I'll be giving her artificial clothes when she's dressed like this. Carl was too busy whipping up some drinks to notice that Molly is one layer away from being completely naked behind him, and it doesn't take long before things get pretty spicy between them.
Am I wrong, or are you making sexual overtures here?
What the Sigma? Are you trying to riz me, lady? Yes! What do you think's happening right now? This little corny comment almost ruins the mood for Molly. Almost, because 2 seconds later they get all touchy-feely again. Carl is so down to have sex, but first he wants to lay down some rules. He doesn't want them to share any more information about each other. Right now, all they know is each other's first names, and that's all he wants to know. It's kind of funny because he doesn't even know that. He doesn't know her first name. Second, he wants to keep the masks on while they do it. And she must have agreed to this because they immediately cut to boning, which I'm not showing for very obvious reasons, but I do want to say, why are you doing it on the nasty floor? There's a bed right there, bro. The bed's not much better, but it's a little bit better. While they're getting busy, Molly tells Carl to let go of all his anger and hurt. Release it onto her like she knows he wants to. Then her eyes turn to pitch black as they finish things up. Then we cut to later. Carl wakes up in the bed and he sees a man eerily making his way into the room. He doesn't believe his eyes at first, but the man really is there. And in an instant, the man is gone. Not only does he see this strange figure in the room, but he also hears power tools and banging coming from the next room. He gets up to investigate what's going on, and he even calls out to Molly a couple of times, but she doesn't answer. She only comes out when he almost enters the room. And then he asks her if there's anyone else in the apartment with them because he just saw a man in their room. But this question just confuses her because of course it's only the two of them in there. We do learn that all of the noises he heard coming from the room was just her making some form of art stand. But she does say that room is private and Carl isn't allowed in there. Then they both lay back down in bed for some after sex cuddles. And Carl takes things a little too far, of course. It was obviously the best he's ever had, but I'm not sure it was as good for her.
Yeah, it was something, alright.
Our girl Molly is trying to catch some Z's when Dumbnuts over here decides to try and take off his mask, which pisses Molly off because they had a deal. And one that he made. But he thinks that things have changed between them now because he had such a good night with her. But Molly reassures him.
Nothing's changed.
But he disagrees. He thinks everything has changed. She somehow helped him get rid of all his anger and sadness, and now he is completely obsessed with her. He has completely flipped on what he said before. He wants to know everything about Molly. But sadly for Carl, Molly feels quite the opposite and doesn't want to tell him anything. And she's tired of hearing him yap, so she decides to just ignore him and get some sleep. But that doesn't stop him from forcefully flipping her over and spilling his whole life story to her. And worst of all, removing his mask. So Molly gives him one last warning. She tells him that he better be gone whenever she wakes up, and she never wants to see him again. And then she flips over again and just ignores him. Finally, Carl decides to just leave her alone for a bit, and then he goes into the bathroom to take a good long look at himself in the mirror. Hey, I wouldn't splash that water on you. Who knows if that's clean or not? Have you seen the rest of this place? And while looking in the mirror, Carl realizes something. It's a medicine cabinet. He can learn Molly's real name from the pill bottles that she has in there. So he rummages through her cabinet, but her name is erased off of every single bottle. But his little snoop fest isn't over yet because he finds her purse in the kitchen and going through it also brings up nothing. And her mail? Also nothing. It's almost as if Molly doesn't exist. Suddenly, Carl's whole body gets weak and he collapses into the disgusting fridge. Can somebody get this girl like some Fabuloso, please? Or maybe even a magic racer would do wonders in this place. After Carl falls to the ground, his vision starts getting very wonky. Apparently, Molly drugged him earlier whenever she gave him a drink in bed. But despite being dizzy and weak, Carl finds his way into the forbidden room, where he quietly opens the door and takes a peek inside to find a giant glass cabinet that is so fogged up that you can't even see what's inside of it. Carl nervously walks over to the cabinet and opens the door to find a bunch of faces hung up on display as if they were trophies. And one of them looks a little familiar. Carl slowly backs away from the Ed Gein case and decides it's a great time to wake Molly up. He crawls on top of her and hopes to unmask her and see her real face. But she somehow escapes from under him and reaches for the saw to fight back. But it's no use. Carl gets the upper hand and manages to grab the saw. And he chunks it far away from her and then digs his fingers into her mask to rip it off. But it wasn't a mask. That's her real face. And just as he realizes this, the poison kicks in. He flops over, seizing up, as Molly gets on her feet, buzzsaw in hand, towering over him, where she reveals that this is really her face, the face that she was born with. And she also spiked the drinks, and it took him forever to go down. And now it's his turn to go up in her face cabinet. And the last thing we see is Molly preserving Carl's face and making him the centerpiece of her collection, as she uses the blood left over on the saw to touch up her lipstick. Then we fade back to our favorite ghoul, who says an actually pretty funny joke.
I guess that's one way to wear a guy out.
Then he wins his poker game against his skelly friends, and he's lucky he did, because loser takes a poker to the face.
Now that's a poker face.
Damn it, I wish I thought of that joke. Frick. And that's the end of the episode. I told you guys, this episode is insane, okay? It had so many twists and turns, I had no idea where it was going at all. At first, I thought she was going to be some kind of monster and would like rip him apart. Some real creep show shit, you know? And then when the ghost man arrived, I figured it was gonna pivot into some kind of like paranormal story where they like help him escape or whatever. But nothing prepared me to see the faces displayed in the cabinet. The first time I watched this, my jaw literally dropped. They also had the cockroaches crawling all over them. It's really sickening to see. Probably one of the better twists in this show. And I would feel bad for Carl if he wasn't an absolute piece of shit. I mean, he did say earlier,
certain wrongs deserve certain justifiable actions.
And Molly didn't disagree. And now we know why, because she wanted to find someone so deplorable that she wouldn't feel bad for cutting off their face. Both actors in this episode did an incredible job. Peter Onorati plays Carl so well. I'm sure he's a nice guy in real life, but he really plays a cocky, ignorant man so well. Carl really thinks he's the top dog and the one in charge, even though you see some insecurities poking out here and there. But he's too meat-headed to realize that he's really just prey for Molly the whole time. Even when he was inside of her house, he was trying to control her when he really couldn't. But she does play the victim pretty well. There's a couple of times she would like fake cower, but she had a plan all along. And oh boy, did he fall into her trap. Right into it. Moth to a flame. And speaking of Molly, she absolutely steals the show in this episode. Partially because her horrifying doll face, but she just seems so cool and nonchalant the whole time. Honestly, you probably have to be when you have a bunch of human faces in a room in your house, but who knows? But seriously, Sherry Rose did an incredible job playing her and making Molly iconic in my eyes. I also want to point out that Sherry Rose, the girl who played Molly, she's in another episode of Tales from the Crypt, the season 4 episode, On a Dead Man's Chest, which is another pretty strange episode, if you ask me. Maybe I could talk about that one day, but it's not one of the better episodes, if you ask me. She also plays Wanda in the Tales from the Crypt movie, Demon Knight. I obviously really like this episode. The whole grungy, unsettling feeling of her apartment mixed in with the uncomfortable conversations they have throughout the episode, and the strange paranormal scenes like Ghost Boy and then her random pitch black eye. Also, Molly's terrifying appearance just makes this one of the most memorable and best episodes in the whole series, in my humble opinion. But now that I've broken down the episode and reviewed it a little bit, let's check out the comic and see how similar they are. We start the comic by meeting Herbert. Every year for Mardi Gras, he visits New Orleans and waits at a cafe for a woman named Suzanne. He has been doing this every year for the past 5 years, and he is deeply in love with her, even though he has never seen her face. She's always wearing this hideous witch mask, but she does have a nice body though, so it's a plus for him. But they only meet up once a year to spend a whole week together, and whenever they're not together, Suzanne is all that he can think about. So this year he plans to propose to her. And after a fun night of dancing, Herbert takes Suzanne by the hand and he leads her to a beautiful spot near the water, where he proposes to her, and she of course says yes to him. He's so excited and he reaches to take her mask off and kiss her, but she stops him. She doesn't want to reveal her face to him until they are officially husband and wife. So they quickly find this old couple to wed them that night. God, I wonder what that old couple thought about that, especially with them looking like this. That old man is definitely judging them. Look at him. And after that, the happy couple rush off to get a hotel room for the night. And once they get into the room, Herbert once again tries to take off her mask, but she stops him and turns out the light. And then it's heavily insinuated that they have some nighttime wrestling. But afterwards, Herbert waits until Suzanne is asleep and he turns on the light to see she's still wearing the mask. So he carefully unties the mask and lifts it up to see the mask was a perfect copy of her own face. And then he shoots up in bed. It was all just a dream. And he looks over to find Suzanne is still wearing the mask, just like she was in his dream. But finally, Herbert has had enough. He's been asking to see her face all night, but she just keeps pushing it back further and further to the point where she's sleeping in this mask. So he starts pulling on her mask really hard, tugging at it as Suzanne screams in agony. He tells her that he didn't care what she looked like before, but now he has to know because they're married. And Herbert digs his fingers into the mask, and with one last hard tug, he rips Suzanne's face right off her body. It wasn't a mask. It was her real face. And that's how it ends. It's an equally insane story, but a lot shorter, if you ask me. It's like legit maybe 4 pages long. It's crazy. But this time the roles were kind of reversed. The lady lost her face and not the man. And there are a few similarities, like the women with the strange, scary faces and the man who's a little too obsessed with finding out what they truly look like. And if you think about it, the endings are similar. Somebody lost their face, so, you know, that's close enough. But pretty much that's where the similarities stop. I really like this comic. I watched the episode first, so the reveal didn't really surprise me, of course. But I didn't expect my boy to rip her face off. That was crazy. But unlike the episode, everyone in this comic is likable. They're both very sweet and loving to each other the whole time. And that makes the reveal hit pretty hard in my opinion. I mean, Herbert was such a sweet guy, and then he had this fit of rage and then ripped off his wife's face. Bro just murdered his wife on the first night they were married. How do you manage to do that? Actually, pretty easily. Pretty easily murder your wife the first day you're married. But yeah, incredible story, incredible episode. I had so much fun watching these and reading these. And that's all I've got for you today. Let me know what you think about it in the comments below. And don't forget, I have a plushie that's available for just 1 more week. So if you want it, you have to buy it right now because he is going away November 6th. Look at him. He's cute. He's cute. He's got a little Goosebumps thing. I got a little Goosebumps King Noose Me book. People have been asking about the book. It's me but it's like in the style of a Goosebumps book. You know what I mean? You know what I mean? You got a little crown on him. He's cute. He's fun. Here's my ad.
Hey, you.
Me?
Are you lonely?
No, I have a girlfriend, so...
Do you cuddle with your pillow and sob at night?
What?
Where it sounds like you need the King Noose Me plushie, a perfect companion that kinda looks like that guy on YouTube you saw once. The King Noose Me plushie can do so much, like be cute, sit on a shelf, judge you silently. He's a great cuddle buddy at night, just make sure you sleep with one eye open. Why? Don't you worry about it. Visit GiveMeSwag.com or click the link in the description to order one now to November 6th. I'm gonna order one right now!
Warning, King Noose Me plush is unstable and could wake up at any moment. If this happens, find cover and don't answer any of his questions. It will be the last thing you do.
I don't know if I want one anymore.
I have a Patreon. The $5 members get bonus content, plus videos a day early, maybe some pictures of my cats, a Discord server, and your name right here on screen. Like the video if you like the video. Thank you for watching the video all the way through. I appreciate you all. And peace.